Okay, looks like we're 12 o'clock, so let's begin our meeting
Okay.
uh, for the July 8th Waterways meeting. And welcome everybody here. It's been a while since we've met. Um, and I guess we have Steve. Good. So we're going to start with the agenda. First is the roll call members, and let's start with Roger.
Roger
He's
Race.
Andy,
Present. Here.
DJ.
Here.
DJ is here. We got Donna.
Here.
And we've got Andrea. I remember this time I got her name right. And Kevin. And who's Tom's iPad? Is that a member on another iPad or?
One more commissioner?
We got Eli. Eli's
Eli.
out.
Okay,
Good.
that's Eli's on that. Okay, so that's his name wasn't showing up on the screen. Okay, and Eli's present. Okay. First item on the agenda, second item is to read the meeting of the minutes for roll call approval. So any comments in the meeting minutes of looks like we're on well, way back to April 8th, if you've read them, and we'll entertain a motion to approve them if so.
Motion to approve.
Moved.
Motion approved made by Roger,
A second.
second by TJ. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Andrea, aye.
Aye. Okay. Eli,
Aye.
Dana, and TJ. Okay.
Aye.
Moving on, item number 3. We got let's see, we got here the roll call vote required. The Waterways Commission seeks to transfer matching grant funds from the Rogers Street project to Hathaway Marina or similar action relative to the reassigned funds. Steve, you want to make any comment on that before we
No,
call for-
I think this is something that was required by Chris Vitale as the assistant town manager or acting town manager at the time. I'm not sure I follow the bouncing ball completely, but there was a project at Rogers Street that was a planning project or an engineering project, and it had not gotten anywhere. There were SEC funds that were assigned. There were matching grant funds from ARPA, and Kevin spoke in front of the select board, and they approved the transfer of those matching funds into the Hathaway Marina project. And I think Town Hall was just looking for a vote by Waterways that is what they wanted to do, essentially killing that Rogers Street project, but utilizing the matching funds before they were lost.
This is something I believe we did already have previously at our previous meeting. We just never took an official roll call a vote on it. So if someone would make a motion to upon Chris's request to approve the transfer of opera funds from Rogers Street to the Dias Landing project, that'll get us out of this situation.
So moved.
I'll make that one. Yeah. Second.
Motion made by Andy.
A point of discussion, these matching funds came from what source?
This is the ARPA funds.
Okay, okay. Okay, thank you.
We have a second on that motion?
I'll second that.
Dan seconded it.
Okay,
Okay.
Any further discussion? We'll do all those in favor, roll call. Roger Race,
I'm in favor.
Andy,
Yep. Yes.
TJ,
Yes.
Anna,
Yes.
Andrea,
Yes.
Eli.
Yes.
The chair votes yes. That's a unanimous vote. Moving on to the next agenda item number 5. Open a dialogue with the Public Access Board regarding deterioration sheet pile and other possible improvements at the Dias Landing.
Are we going out of order?
We
I'm
skipped
sorry,
4,
did I miss
Kevin.
something? Did I miss something?
Number
Recap
4.
of-
Okay, yeah, number 4. Okay, that was one that I put in my mind that if Steve was going to be late, I was jumping that. Thank you, Andrea. Number 4, recap of the Hathaway Marina dedication ceremony, plans for expansion and occupancy status. continued demand for kayak and dinghy rack storage. So, Steve, since you're here, would you bring us up to date on that, please?
Sure. All positive reviews on that dedication ceremony from family, friends, and the public at large. I think it went off well. Weather cooperated, and good time was had by all. The expansion is the far west wall of that landing. There are 4 floats already stacked, which will allow us to add more slip space once we have piles driven, maybe this fall, maybe next spring. But under the original funding budget augmented, we now have more slip space that we can rent to the public on the north side of the pier. While we're doing that, we have completely filled the dinghy racks at the head of the pier. The float has full payment for all of the spaces, even though some may not yet be on them. We have 2 linear spaces that remain unclaimed. One of them was accepted, and when funds were pursued, in other words, payment is due, they changed their mind and declined. So I have a 13-foot whaler spot, and I believe a 17-foot powerboat spot. And I intend to, as soon as I get my head above water, advertise. And if we can rent those for the remainder of the season, great. If not, that's going to pretty much consume where the floats would be attached in the fall or spring anyway. So-
Question, Steve, are you saying we're completely full except for 2 slots along the in-water, what we call the in-water spaces?
Yes,
Wow, great.
there are 2, I call them 2 marina linear spaces. They're still available, and there's demand for more dinghy spots. And I've actually rented out one of the linear spots to somebody with a dinghy. So a little bit of thinking outside the box, but it was done on a per foot basis, and it
Good.
works. And if that is what the demand is for, then we can fill it with that. We'll go with that.
You know,
Um,
if I could, I was actually gonna suggest we see what the mix is, and maybe we can figure out a way to maximize the mix. What we doing more smaller boats, more dinghies. That's where the need seems to be.
Right, agreed, TJ.
You know, that's the
So,
one thing that we don't have is a really effective place. We rely on the private sector to cover that need in the harbor.
right, right.
I
Yeah,
think
so more dinghy space and did anybody really balk at the pricing? I'm interested about feedback on that aspect of it, Steve.
there might have been one dinghy person was offered and they declined based on price, but that would have been it. No, I've
Okay.
not had. There've been, requests to install rollers and winches and cranes and things of that nature, which were all refused. I want to see how it works before we alter any of the structures. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I would get into letting people customize any of it because basically that starts to tear into the brand new stuff.
Yeah,
And one person's solution creates a dilemma for
Correct.
somebody else. I've
Also
also
creates
had
a tripping
requests.
hazard.
Right.
It also when people start putting stuff on the ends of to yank the dinghies out of the water, it starts creating a tripping hazard.
Sure. We've also had a request for an access gate, which I've explained we are not allowed to do because that used public funds. People have the right to passive recreation walking along the pier itself. But, one of the things about easy access is that it's easy access for all. So that's feedback on the use of the marina spaces.
Steve, I have a quick question. Did we have to turn anybody away who wanted to keep a bigger boat there? Is that something if we end up with space that we might increase the footage from 20 to 22 feet or so, or did we get no action in that respect?
I had inquiries about bigger boats, but we had set the limit at 20 and that was explained. So I don't know that they would have been interested in it. They just inquired what size up to, and my 25-foot boat won't fit. So they didn't really push the issue. The other thing I want to throw in there before we move on is that the yacht club donated a former rack that was used for lasers at the yacht club. It's by no means new and it's wood, but in an attempt to find out if it was warranted to add, that was delivered to the north side of the pier, and it's already full
Nice.
with kayaks. So,
Okay.
If you build it, they will come. So
Right,
we should
in this
build another,
case-
we should build another dock is what you're saying for dinghies, another dock.
I
Yeah.
think that's what the real need is in the harbor. You know,
kayaks and
honestly,
dinghies.
and it also it dovetails nicely to the maximum amount of access for the public too.
Right, right.
But the
exactly.
dinghy storage, the new racks that came in are much nicer for kayaks. Because you can put them three in a row.
Exactly.
the only
So they're much
problem-
tighter for
The problem
kayaks.
always becomes the short person gets the top row and the tall person gets the bottom row. But we try to work that out. We also don't want to block the view of the public that likes to sit there and watch the antics at the ramp. So we want to maximize the storage, but we also don't want to destroy the beauty, the natural vista, I think is the word. And just as a side note, all those complaints that the marina would ruin the weekend, the parking, 4th of July weekend, we never met capacity. Even with the new
Excellent.
racks and the new marina and the great weather and whatnot,
Thank you.
we had
Thank you.
empty spots throughout that long weekend and week.
Great.
Nice.
Good job.
You know, it's nice when everything works out the way you hope it's going to work out with everybody. You know.
Proper planning. We looked ahead. We
Yep.
didn't just do this
Yep.
on a whim. We watched the trends, we watched the occupancy, and yeah, it prevailed. Our findings, our estimations prevailed. So
Nice.
I'd also like to read, just backpedaling a little bit. We did get a card from Marsha Hathaway, and I'll briefly read the note. It says, Kevin, Andrea, Donna, and all the Waterways Commission, thank you deeply for all that you all did to make the Warren Hathaway Marina happen. You did it. Thank you all so deeply, Marsha.
Oh, sweet.
To read that
Great.
out into the record.
I thought it was a
Awesome.
very nice event. I thought it was a real nice show of public support.
Absolutely.
Any
It
more
was nice
information?
to
on
meet
that?
everybody in person.
That too.
And the shuttle over from the yacht club, really, seemed very popular. That worked very well.
and having Warren's boat there for it
Yep.
was a nice touch.
Yeah, I think the yacht club went above and beyond for everyone.
Yeah.
So
I'd like to apologize to Andrea for fumbling for her name during one of the introductions at the time, but I happened to draw a blank there, part of my old age, I guess, and we recovered as time went along.
Well, it's
You'll-
made for a pretty regular joke in circles, which is
He's gonna mess TJ up next.
I think that the marina dedication and the planning went really, really well. I just had a procedural issue that I don't think affected the ceremony, the dedication, but it gave me pause for any future actions of the commission. And that was that the commission took a vote, an actual vote, not to have food. And then one of the planning members made a unilateral decision to go ahead and bring in the food truck because of people outside of the commission having, a request for that. And I don't think having food or not having food at the marina was a big deal. But if that was a more significant vote, relative to policy, I just would like to go on record that nobody should make a unilateral decision against the vote of the commission without at least a straw poll. If it were a more significant issue, we would have had a new meeting, discuss it. None of that was needed in this case, but procedurally, I just don't think anybody should go against the will of the overall commission. And I just put that out there for the record. Everything went well.
Anything else on this agenda item? Okay, we can move on to number 5, I guess we're at.
Number
Open
5,
dialogue with the Public Access Board regarding the deteriorating sheet pile and other possible improvements at the Dias Landing. While Steve and I were over there watching the progress of the building of the marina, it was noticed that Steve brought to our attention that there is some significant deterioration of the sheet pile, particularly in the tidal range that's holding back the sand and whatnot in the existing boat ramp. This comes under the purview of the Public Access Board, so I would just like to get a discussion about that and a recommendation that maybe we could proceed with an initial process of contacting them and making them aware of that and seeing if there's anything we can do to get to solve that problem before it becomes a real issue. So that was my reason for putting that on the agenda. Steve, if you'd like to comment further on that, have at it.
when that boat ramp was rebuilt in 2014, 2014, it was finished. Prior to that, we had a retaining wall made out of granite that didn't move and didn't rust. When they did the project, they removed and disposed of or sold the granite blocks and put in metal sheathing to create cofferdam around the entire work site. When they were done, rather than replace the granite blocks, they left the corrugated metal cofferdam, cut it down, and called it the wall. Those cofferdams are meant to be temporary. They're meant to be for construction purposes. They're not made of Corten steel. They're made of mild steel. They're not painted or anything. Matter of fact, they didn't even put a cap on it. They were going to leave the cut welded metal jagged till I pointed out the hazard and they put a cap on it. Well, we're 10 years down the road and there are certain little bubbles showing up in that metal where it is failing. It is going to rust through, as metal always does on the waterfront. And I'd rather get ahead of it than have to report at some point that it's breached and now we can't use the ramps because the sand has poured through. So I don't know. I'm not an engineer. I don't know the solution to fix it, but I think fixing it in advance instead of after the problem is going to be easier. So we want to put it on their radar.
I did it. Go ahead, TJ. I'm sorry.
And that comes up purely under their purview, correct?
It is.
Yes.
Yes.
So we make a request that they fix it in keeping with public access to the area.
Yes. If they're
It'll
gonna
still
maintain
need
those-
permits though, right? The
I believe-
Concom will still need to permit it.
There may be an open permit for the maintenance of the facility. I don't know. That's a question for the higher authorities to figure out, but there was a permit, there was Concom action. Some of these permits are you sign off and you're done. Some of them allow for ongoing maintenance, and I don't know which this is, but I'm sure Public Access Board will know the answer to that.
I did send an email. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Kevin.
I did send an email to Doug Cameron, who was probably the former head of the Access Board. I did not get a response to him from him. I'm sorry. I guess Roger, I had sent you a copy of that. I don't know if Doug is still there, if he's retired, or if he's moved to another position. But if anyone has any ideas, I've searched online and haven't been able to come up with who's actually running that board right now. So if anybody can, in their research, find out who that public access contact person may be, we can just explain the situation to him and her and see what, if anything, can be done to remediate this looking forward.
Well, it'll be a lot
Mike-
less expensive to fix it prospectively than to have it breach and then figure out what we're going to do.
Right.
If it breaches,
Yeah,
we don't have
absolutely.
a boat ramp. We don't have boats being launched or retrieved. That's normal days and storm days. A lot of issues come up. So
How
Yeah,
long do you think
I-
it's gonna last, Steve? I haven't looked at it at low tide, but
I
I
honestly
mean,
don't
if it's
know.
mild steel in salt water, I guarantee you, that will turn to iron oxide in a matter of very quickly, very
Mhm.
quickly.
Mm.
I don't know what the life, again, engineers get paid for that kind of prognosis. I just see a problem and report it up. And that's what I'm doing here.
So we really
Yeah,
should stack granite blocks up against the steel wall on the outside and form a new stone
buttress it.
barrier. Yeah.
Or you put another, create a void and backfill concrete on both sides of that mild steel, and you sandwich the steel between. I don't know. I'm not sure what will work, but these are all just ideas that a
Yeah.
layperson would have in this
Is,
arena.
just help me with this 1 second. Is public access a town board?
No,
State,
State,
Okay.
it's a state. It's like part of the fishing and wildlife
Okay.
access, a fishing access, a fish and wild. The name changes frequently. The last contact I had there was actually Jack Shepard, who was
oh,
Doug
that's
Cameron's
way
boss,
old.
and Doug probably retired around 2014 while the ramp was being restructured, and
Let
Doug
me,
came
Andrea,
up.
Let
could
me
you
share
poke in
my,
that direction, maybe?
let me share my screen. And
Yeah.
I can give you the name. Apparently, the Public Access Board is now called the Office of Fishing and Boating Access.
Oh,
Thanks. Thank you. Can I share my screen? So, anyways, it's the Terrence Smith is the acting director and chief engineer,
oh, beautiful,
ah,
great.
and the maintenance coordinator is a George Samalkos.
okay.
So,
Good catch.
Are
Let
they
me
in
send
Brockton,
this.
Andrea? They're up in
I'm
Brockton.
gonna send it through can I send it through chat? Is that
They're
the best way
actually,
to send it?
they have a memorable address of something like Rabbit Hill Run Road or something.
Rabbit Hill Road is Rabbit Hill Road out of Westboro is where Fish and Game has their main office.
Do you
I'm
have an
just gonna
email for
send it.
them?
I'm gonna send it via email because
Okay.
I'm gonna send it as a response to the meeting agenda, so you all get it.
Great,
Excellent, Andrea. Thank you. Wow. Yeah, so people have changed. We got to reach out to these new people and say, hey guys, you built a beautiful ramp, but it's about to. I'd put urgent in the header and go, this is going to fall apart very quickly.
you know,
And then
the fact that
it'll be a real mess. It'll be a real mess. That'll be very
fact
expensive.
that we've built that new marina right next door, it also adds a little bit to the credibility of the area. So that was a good catch, Andrea. You picked that up pretty quickly. I was unable to do that, but if we get their address, maybe I'll just send her a note and see if there's any response, and we can bring that up again at the next meeting.
Kev, maybe if Andrew would like to, Andrew, maybe we can draft a letter, to send to them too. Just kind of start a more formal request.
Mm-hmm.
If you're asking me to do it, I would need some background on when public boating, the Office of Public Access actually did the work so that they can find the file. I need some reference to their original work so that they can find it.
Right, it's going to be completely different people than were there 10 years ago.
No, but the
Yeah,
file
which is why
numbers
they need
remain,
the file.
the file numbers will remain the same and the permits, and I can find that. Sure. My emails don't go away.
And
Okay,
I'm happy to help on the edit or however you want to do it too.
sure.
Yeah, great
I'll
idea.
send it to me and TJ, Steve, if you got a chance, and I'll be happy to put a first shot at it.
I think the
I
maintenance.
can talk bureaucrat stuff.
That's
Way to go.
You were my first choice.
I think the maintenance angle is a good opening to get some action.
Yeah, that's why we need to have them be able to acknowledge what their original role was.
Yep. Okay.
I totally agree with this conversation and moving it forward, but I think at least as a courtesy, we should put an FYI into the town administrator's office because there is an open grant to do a master plan review of the Apponeganset Point. And so if any of the other boards saw that we were taking some action there, they would probably want to know what was going on.
Has he started his new job yet, Steve? Wasn't it?
July 18th, I believe.
Oh, July.
We're still working under Gary. now
Okay.
Gary alone.
And Chris
Actually-
Vitale is the one who was supposed to be spearheading that master plan coordination of boards to find out what universally everybody wanted to do for improvements.
You know, that's a good idea. I'd entertain a motion to look into the possibility of doing what we're talking about and on the maintenance side, so that we're not really creating any additional use of purpose over there, so that we would inform the boards that we're attacking this from a maintenance provision, and that we intend to move forward and see if we can get some response.
Yeah, smart to keep everyone in the loop.
Yeah.
Yep. And smart to approach it from a maintenance standpoint, because it really is a maintenance issue. I mean, the structures are already there. They just need to be maintained properly.
Right.
Yeah.
If we're going to mobilize to do some construction work there, if there's the possibility that we would be doing some further work up adjacent to the parking lot, it would be, if the timing was worked, we should do it at the same time.
That's why we need to get this conversation started, because the
Right.
conversation has already started about the seawall, rebuilding that. So it
Exactly.
would be wise to tie in this as a part of a seawall. Basically, it is a seawall that protects the ramps. It's just not connected to the other seawall project that's already being discussed.
So it's both maintenance and a subset of a larger project. So I don't want to
think
get
if-
anybody, they're already cranky about,
I think
actions being taken out there.
just contacting the lady, the woman at the maintenance, get the feel for her initial reaction, whether we're willing to tackle something like this individually or whether it's part of a broader plan. Then I think that information will be provided to us, and we'll go from there.
I agree with
We're on a
that. I
very
just
early
think that I
stage,
think we
very-
should send an email over to Chris Vitale and contact and CC Gary and say, relative to whatever the name of that SEC grant was, we'd like to move forward on this action before the overall proposal gets involved. So they don't think that we are walking off of the bigger project.
These are state funds and that's under state control. And we're just requesting the state how they feel about it. That's all. It really has nothing.
You're
it has
absolutely
nothing to
right,
do with-
Kevin. This is just politics.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's smart to keep everybody involved, keep everybody informed. Not that we're going to change how we do anything. We're just going to let them know that we're moving on a maintenance project relative.
Fine, a maintenance project, exactly. So I have no problem with that. I just like to get it in the works because these things take years, and hopefully the seawall or the sheet pile is going to last that long. So it's my only heads up. That's all. Don't want to get into a battle about it. Just want to put it on the radar and see what the state's reaction is, since they're in charge of the area. Okay, can we move on to the next item, please? Let's see, which is.
Steve, can you send that email, or is that something that should come from the chairman?
I can send you an email about the project to rebuild the ramps, and I will I will send an email to Gary and Chris about the opening of the dialogue. Just a heads up
Thank
on
you.
that.
Okay, number 6 is a request to use designated approved waterway warrant article funds, $45,000 to replace the denied SEC grant as a main funding source for $9,000 CPC match grant. Vote needed if allowed by CPC. Steve, you want to give us a little background on
Sure.
this, please?
We applied for and were denied a Seaport Economic Council grant in the amount of $45,000 to replace the dinghy racks at Apponeganset Point, at the landing. We were awarded $9,000 in grant matching funds from community preservation. I have requested that they leave the $9,000 on the table. Excuse my colloquialism, but that they're all different terms used in this. I want to leave open the $9,000 by CPC, and they were supposed to meet last night, and that would be a subject or topic. I don't know what the outcome was. Instead of getting the SEC funds, we have warrant articles that have been approved over the years to take money from Waterways Enterprise retained earnings and put them into projects that are titled, make sure I get it right, Dias Landing Dinghy, Dias Landing Dinghy Project, Dias Landing Dinghy Marina, and Dias Landing Dinghy Racks. So for whatever reason, these are acted on at town meeting, they're approved at town meeting, and they go into an account. And I can't tell you the years that these have been approved, but they are open and they are still viable. And I got that confirmation from the town accountant. So of the $69,700 that's sitting in warrant articles, what I'm suggesting, and Waterways will decide this, we take $45,000 that we did not get from Seaport Economic Council. We spend our own money and we use that to leverage the community preservation funds of $9,000, giving us a total of $54,000, which is what we had estimated the entire project would cost to replace the remaining racks. Now, replacing that could be with kayak trees, it could be with a new style that we started, or it could be with what the yacht club donated us, which are key pass, almost Lego-like, erector set-like metal piping that may be more economical. But we would have some level of consistency with what's already there. We would have new construction. I have been repairing, replacing, patching the racks that are there, the older ones with wooden uprights. Those were built and installed in 2006 maybe, and they were given at that point maybe a 5-year life expectancy. And with duct tape, bubble gum, and baling wire, they've now lasted 20 years. They need to be replaced. And the replacement, again, could be voted at a later time, but I want to keep alive the $9,000 from community preservation, if they agree, and use our own funds as the match or the basis for their match.
Are we aware from community preservation, do we have an answer on that yet? Or is that something?
No, they were supposed to meet last night, and I
Okay.
was not able to follow along, and I have
Okay.
not gotten an answer. So this
Oh.
could be done subject to, or it could be done regardless of whether we use community preservation,
Right,
but that we would spend the money that is allocated for the Dias Landing, for the dinghy racks, for the dinghy storage, different names, but they're all open, accessible warrant funds from our retained earnings over the years.
I think we need to move forward on them anyway. Their depreciation is real, meaning they're going to just fall apart to the point where we can't fix them. And I mean, that's what the money's earmarked for.
Yes. So what my proposal is we replace the lost SEC funding with our own funds that have already been approved.
okay.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Is that second? Okay. Any further discussion?
Do we need the 9,000?
To do the full project that we had planned 2 years ago, yes.
Okay.
If community preservation says, no, you can't continue that, then we can do what we can do with 45,000. We'll scale it
Right.
back.
Okay.
And there are options for scaling it back.
But
Excellent.
I would amend the vote to say that we'll either proceed without it and do it, and do what the budget allows, or hopefully CPC will contribute to it and we'll be able to completely do the project the way we want to. But either way, we should proceed. I don't think we should just continue to wait on this until they fall apart completely and we lose the revenue and we lose the
Right.
people's access to the water that way.
Mhm.
Right.
Okay.
So the motion would be to utilize $45,000 from existing dinghy storage warrant articles for a project.
Right, and to
Hopefully,
pursue the CPC funds. However, one is not contingent on the other.
Right.
perfect.
Okay. Let's have a vote on that, please. Roger,
I'm in favor of that, yes.
Andy,
Yep. Sounds great.
TJ,
Yes.
Deanna,
Yes.
Andrea,
Yes.
Eli,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes, so we're unanimous to move ahead with that. Okay, let's see what we're moving on next to here. Request, number 7, Maritime Center use for Lloyd Center Public Outreach Education Pop-Up Program. Anybody
Part
have
of
any-
our SEC funding for the Maritime Center and other projects that are ongoing in town, we have, this is the second year running now, opened up the Maritime Center, and staff from the Lloyd Center do a pop-up event. They bring in a water table, they show the effects of pollution in the watershed, and they answer questions, and it's just a great public outreach, educational type thing. And it's done in the Maritime Center main room. Again, I open it, I clean it. I actually stayed there this year with my daughter. She enjoyed it. And it simulated like what an oil spill could do and what runoff from a farm could do on a tabletop actual wet demonstration. So I just wanted everyone to be aware that it is getting used for purposes beyond meeting, beyond, the bathrooms and the showers, and it's successful. So
Okay, any further discussion on that item?
No, I think that stuff's great. Love to
Yeah,
hear
same here.
more of that happening.
Yep, I think the buoy tree activity joins that parade too, so whatever we can do to expand the use of that Maritime Center is certainly a plus for the town.
So Steve, that event, you're saying it's already been held?
yes, this was carried over from our meetings that we didn't have in May and
Okay.
June. They were done in late May and early June, and there were 3 days set aside for that, 3 Saturdays in the morning.
Nice.
Yeah.
Doing
Those
exactly
were
what it was
done as
supposed to
part
do.
of those were done as part of the MVP action grant, I believe.
Yes, I think that is part of it, part of the public outreach for that grant. And it did fall under the Maritime Center public use, so it's just a win-win.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to number 8, the 2024 season FY25 boat excise progress and issues. Steve, you're up again.
Back and getting emails like crazy because the warrants, demands and warrants have gone out on the past boat excise bills, and quite often people are calling and saying, I don't have this boat and I don't want to pay it. And I explain what needs to be done and it doesn't get done. And then they get the warrant or they get the demand. And of course, it's my fault, but we're struggling through that. So it's an ongoing issue of stemming from a lot of boat excise bills that went out in error, or they went out for boats that were no longer owned. They were just active titles that had not been removed. So it's a
Steve,
struggle, but we're gonna push through.
forgive me for not knowing this. Is it on your website what to do if you have a boat that's long gone and the excise tax?
I don't believe it is any longer. We do have, we had the form, and the form was for, what to do when you sell your boat, and it came right out of the state site. It was a link to
Just letting you know.
the environmental police.
Pinky promise the Thursday, or you're gonna lose your floating slip.
So-
Okay.
And that
So,
still exists?
hopefully, once we work through that database, this won't happen again, do you, Steve?
It's hopefully a 1 year of pain, but we'll see.
Right, and then we get something good out of it for a long time
Right.
afterwards.
Well, we're getting rid of a lot of boat titles that are no longer active.
Yeah. We got the funds coming in too, right, Steve?
I haven't seen the report yet, but yes, that'll be coming soon.
Okay.
The report of revenue.
Any further discussion on that issue? Okay, number 9 is the database conversion update and 2025 season waterways billing.
Again, still struggling with it because it's new and it's a change. But we're knocking off the unpaid invoices one by one. And we have found a problem, not on our end, but when email goes out from townmoorings.com, a lot of people have settings that place that mass mailing into their spam file. And I sort of anticipated that, and we're working through that. And again, it's a first year pain. that will hopefully not be repeated and is being remedied on an individual case-by-case basis, so that we'll be in better standing for next year.
Yep.
Yeah, it's.
Have,
it's
have
what
we
it
sent
is.
any funds to that company?
Not yet. They're going to be encumbered.
Okay.
We're still waiting to pay them until we get what we need that works.
Okay, that's a good approach.
And
Okay.
Kevin, I
Yes,
hate to interrupt. I'm going to have to pop off for a
okay.
call that I've been
Yep.
waiting for. But
All
do
right,
you need me
TJ.
for any other votes or anything along those lines, or are we all
I
good?
think we just kind of got updates, and the next meeting, as far as I know, will be the second Tuesday in August, and we'll let you know if that changes during the course of the meeting.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Bye,
See you,
TJ.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye bye.
Okay, database okay, number 10, we did that. What is the town clean water group activity? Andrea, would that be you?
Yes. Okay. Um, two things have happened a couple things have happened since our last meeting in April. The sampling of the Slocum River has begun. The first sampling day was July 3rd, I believe, first week of July.
Yes.
And it was coordinated, as you know, by the health department, but SMAST, who helped write the sampling protocol, came and were present on both sampling groups. So everybody is working on the same protocol, and that was all free. There was free money for SMAS to show up. A second event, which you all got an opportunity to join, was eelgrass replanting, which I went to and was a ton of fun. It was hot, but we were in the water, and we brought about 400 plants, the reproductive plants, out of the Demarest Lloyd eelgrass bed area, and we stationed them in buoys farther up in the Slocum River, across from the Lloyd Center, and they're getting replanted. They might have already been replanted by Division of Marine Fisheries and our health department. So the health department, through this $25,000 sampling of ARPA funds, has gotten help from Division of Marine Fisheries for eelgrass replanting, from SMAST for sampling analysis and sampling protocol, and they're doing their sampling in a way that's acceptable to DEP. So it actually called in a third body who has some extra eelgrass money, and they may be willing to help. They may be willing to use it here in Dartmouth. So good activity from Chris Mashad to address what could be opening up the mouth of the Slocum River for future shellfishing, because he's likely to prove that the water's clean enough.
Good.
Steve, do you want to add to that?
No, I think Chris is a great resource to pull everyone together, stronger pull than what I could have. And he's got far up the river where I can't reach, to out in the bay where two of my staff members in our boat deployed a buoy and made samplings 6 a.m. last Wednesday before the 4th of July weekend. Yeah, it was, I didn't go, but two of my staff members did, and they did an excellent job, and they watched and learned. And yeah, it's just a great team effort. We're all pulling the same direction. So
Yeah,
hopefully
it's
it'll make
been
a
very
difference.
helpful to have the Waterways Commission as sort of a named partner in this. It's helped Chris a lot, because health agents don't usually do this type of work, so we're lucky to have his interest.
Good. All right,
Awesome.
thank you for that. Anybody, any further comment on that? Okay, and then next to last on the agenda is any public comment. I don't seem to see any of the public around. And so we'll schedule the next meeting, the second Tuesday in August. Does that seem to work? Same time, same place for everyone?
Yep.
Let's see.
That would be August
12th.
12th at noon.
Tuesday, the 12th of August. Yep.
Okay, so
Oh,
we'll,
yeah. I may have a medical doctor's appointment that day, but I'm not sure. Like, I'll find out for sure
okay.
Okay.
coming week.
All right, well, we'll leave that in play for now, and if it changes, we'll update everyone.
Can
Sure.
we have Thursday, the 14th, be our alternate date at noon?
That's my birthday. If you want to do that, we can do that.
We have a party.
Via
Yeah,
Zoom.
75, so God, that'll be my diamond anniversary. All right, we could talk about that. Let's hope that the 12th plays out, and then if we need an alternate day, we'll come up with it, so. All right, I'll entertain a
Sounds good.
motion to adjourn. Yes,
No, sounds good to me.
okay.
Motion adjourn.
I have a second.
Second.
Okay, we'll do just a quick group. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, everybody. Thank you very much for your time, and we will see you in August. Bye-bye.
Thank
Sounds
you.
good.
Thanks, everybody.